Hi, welcome to the Rock and Roll Painter Show. My name is J.D. Wayne, and I am the Rock and Roll Painter. A few years ago, when I got started in the world of art instruction, I did some demonstrations around town where I painted for music. And I soon discovered I could paint an entire painting in the framework of one song. So I put on the top hat, put on the sunglasses, and the Rock and Roll Painter was born. But in this environment here, there's some copyright issues regarding music, so we're just going to show you how you can do a painting today. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Rock and Roll Painter. Let's see what we got going today. We have a little farm scene going for you. You can see there's a little barn here, and what we've done, went online and got a little picture of a barn, and you never want to copy it exactly, so I just changed it up a little bit. Don't have this little breezeway, changed up some of the doors, but that allows me to have a shape of a barn. That with some carbon paper, I transfer the shape of the barn onto the canvas. Then with a little bit of black gesso, which is an acrylic based primer, I paint the barn in and paint the ground in back here with just a little brush, and then that gives me where we are here. And then I put a little bit of tape, just regular masking tape. Regular masking tape covers up where I don't want to get some paint. People who do watercolor have the benefit of called a masking fluid. They cover up areas they don't want painted. So this just works for oil paintings. It's the same concept. Then up here we have a little bit of liquid white, or it's a fast flow white. It's a white based medium. So let's get started. We have a whole list of colors here that are going to go across the screen so you can see. But let's start out with some cerulean blue. Cerulean blue. The nice light blue down at the bottom here, down at the horizon, is always a little lighter in value than the sky, than the rest of the sky. Get a little bit more of this cerulean blue behind this barn. You see that white-based medium helps the colors to blend and move around a little bit. Just kind of stretch that up a little bit. And if we're going to go with a little darker value blue, it's an ultramarine blue. Start up here in the corners. We want it nice and dark in the corners. That helps pull your eye down to the center of the painting. So just work some of that color across, that ultramarine blue. You see with the two values of blue, that'll help give some perspective to the painting, some distance. So just kind of lightly pull those two blues together. Gotta go over them lightly, get rid of any brush strokes you may have. Make sure we get some good color all the way around. Lightly go over, get rid of any brush strokes. And let's get some clouds up in here. Let's get a fan brush, get some titanium white. Really load that brush up with some titanium white. We're gonna come over here and just gonna keep that brush moving, little circles, kind of create some clouds back here. Then I'll unload the rest of that white back down on here. I'll take another brush, kind of soften up the bottom of that cloud, kind of sets it down into the sky. Kind of give it a little fluff. Once again, just kind of sets that cloud right into the sky. We'll get some more of this titanium white. And we'll have another little cloud back over here. You can see a cloud in front of that cloud helps create some distance in the sky. Once again, we always try to get some distance. Want to take a flat canvas and try to get some distance. Unload the rest of that brush down there. Go back to the brush we had. Kind of soften up the bottom of that cloud. Then lightly just set it down into the sky. See, already getting some nice distance into that painting. Now let's see, with a little farm scene, let's get a little tree, a big oak tree behind this barn over here. A little bit of sap green, maybe some midnight black. Some ivory black, midnight black. Gonna get some big oak tree, kind of set it behind, need a little darker value here. Set it behind that barn a little bit. You don't want like a lollipop tree like you might draw in elementary school. You want to see some shape, some different shape to that. Need that a little darker yet. A little darker so some highlights will show up. And see, we pull that barn off, this tree will be a little bit behind that barn. Let's get a liner brush. Get a liner brush, get a little bit of that black color. So we put a trunk into here. We'll have a couple little limbs coming up, help supporting all those leaves. Then we'll go back with that same brush. Wipe off a little bit of that dark color. Come in with a little bit of yellow. Give just a little bit of highlight to that tree. Give a little, maybe a little bit of sunshine on this side. Give a little bit of highlight. Get some nice depth to that tree. All you need is just a little bit there, just to give the feel of a little bit of shape to that tree. That's all we need out of that. Got to keep our hands clean. Okay, I think that's about all we need for the sky. Let's work on that barn now. We need to take our tape off. You can see how that sky color did not get down into our grass. Take that tape right off. Take this tape off. We can uncover that barn. Like I said, we put that on with acrylic gesso. And you can paint oil over acrylic with no problem, but you can't paint acrylic over oils. One more little section of that barn come off there. Now you see how it kind of pushes that tree behind that barn by doing it that way. And we need to get a little bit of a clear medium on here to allow some of this paint to move around in this barn. So we get a little bit of this, it's called a clear glazing medium. When we get that barn wet, just get it wet all the way up there to the edge there. You see how we got a nice clean edge around that by taping it off the way we do. Get that barn wet all the way up into there, all the way on the side. And what's my favorite colored barn? You drive around the Indiana, you see a lot of old red barns, so we're going to go with that color. This painting is actually called Hoosier Homestead. So we're going to go with a little bit of a cad red medium. Just going to start creating some boards down here. Some of this color may not show up. I'm going to come in and highlight some of it, but I'm going to get some of these boards going in here. This might take a little bit, but we're going to get all these boards in here. This brush does a good job just to simulate some of those boards. It's a thin brush, so it doesn't hold a lot of paint. We're just going to create some of these boards coming down here. Now it's important to keep your boards running straight. Sometimes in an old barn you can have some character to that barn, have some of the boards running a little crooked when they get weathered, but we're going to try to keep most of these somewhat straight. I don't know if that red is showing up on that camera very well, but we'll see if we can get these boards all the way across here without taking too much time. But we'll have just enough time to get this painting down. I think we'll even have time for a little windmill over here, an old farm windmill. We'll see if we can get this barn done and get that in there. Get some of this red going all the way across there. See, if I had a little bigger brush, it might go a little faster, but then you wouldn't get the feel, you wouldn't get the effect of boards. I like it nice and loose across the bottom here. It shows where some of the water might have wicked up on those boards and kind of rotted them out. That's what you see on some old barns like this. Got to keep that brush moving, keep some of those boards going. I'm starting to see an old barn come to life here now. Almost across in there. I did a painting like this recently for a friend that had a big, nice cow in the front here that they used to raise some money for the Indiana Junior Charlet Association, but we're not going to have a cow in this one. That'd take a little more time than what we have here. Let's go ahead and get some of these boards all the way across this little section of the barn. Yeah, like I say, this little brush does a good job on these boards, but it doesn't hold a lot of paint, so you got to keep loading up. Got to keep loading up. Now to make some of these areas stand out, I'll go with a little bit of lighter red. It's a cad red light. And I see that section of the barn maybe back a little bit, so if I highlight a little bit right here, that'll stand the front of that edge out a little bit, which will give the feel of this section being a little farther back. If I just highlight a little bit there, maybe a little bit on this edge, and then just kind of randomly get a little bit of highlight going, just to break up some of that same color, get a couple different reds going here. Now we'd also, let me clean that brush up a little bit. There'd be some kind of windows, some kind of doors. So if I take a small flat brush here, get a little bit of my black, we might have a little hayloft right there. Might have a little bit of hayloft. You might have a door down in this section. Maybe a little window there. A little bit more of this black. Let's say we have a window here and a window here. And also with this color, from this angle of the barn, this 1 point perspective, you'd see a little bit of that eave, which will clean up the top of them boards a little bit. Get some of that dark color coming down through there. Some of that dark color. Let's put that brush up. And let's go back to my liner brush here. Let's clean that up. With a little bit of white, a little bit of a dirty white. I had some trim boards around these windows here. Make them windows kind of stand out a little bit. There's something around the door, around that window. And then finally, we might have some trim boards around the top of that eave. Think about that barn shape. Got a trim board there. Trim board coming down there. Get a little bit more of that dirty white. Trim board here. There's your trim board on the front of that. This old farmer's proud of this little barn on his Hoosier Homestead. Have that come right down. So there, that kind of finishes that barn. Well, not yet. Let's one more thing to do that barn. A lot of times those boards don't run all the way from the ground up. You might see a section here in the middle, just by putting a little bit of black, kind of breaks those boards up. Otherwise, you'd have a 20-foot board hanging there. Now, let's get some of this clear medium again across the bottom here. We use our big flat brush for this. Get some of our clear medium. We start doing some of the grasses down here, some of the land. But we need a clear medium down here so we can move some of these colors around. We're doing on time. We're doing good on time. We'll have time to get that windmill in here. So like I said, we get some of that clear medium spread all the way around. That just allows the paint to move around a little easier instead of a dry canvas. I'm gonna come in with a texture brush. I'm gonna come in with just some sap green. You may not see a lot of this color here. I'm gonna get some of the grasses growing over here. But this is gonna give me some texture for the highlight to stick to. It's gonna give me some texture. A little green, a little black. Come up front of that tree. See if I can keep that from rattling there. It's more of that green, that black, cover the front of that barn all the way up. Like I said, we're just getting some texture here is what's important. And you see the way that black shows, so it really helps with the shadowing. This is some deep, tall grass of this field that never gets mowed. We get some of this color down here. We're gonna come in with some highlight, really make this grass stand up. But by doing this, we get some texture for that highlight to stick to. Really get some texture. Here we got some color. I'm gonna switch brushes here, same kind of brush, just called a texture brush. I'm gonna come in with some yellow ochre. A little bit of yellow ochre. Really open that brush up. Now you see, start seeing some shape to that ground. You never want to go across here like a typewriter. You want to move back and forth. You can see those values in there really show some clumps. Makes that grass and that land start looking like an old farm field. Really open that brush up, get some more of that color. See, I'm kind of moving that brush and leaving some clumps, really showing that some character to the lay of that land. I'll keep these corners kind of dark down here. Like I say, once again, that pulls your eye into the canvas. Get some of that down here. Now if I wipe this brush off, go just a little bit lighter value, a little bit of cad, maybe a little bit of white, a little bit of cad yellow light. We'll just give a little bit of light kind of shining through there. A little bit of light. See if we got enough time. We got enough time. Now I'm gonna create a little windmill here. What I like to do, I take just a bottle cap from any kind of soft drink, just run it through my black paint, and let's say right here is where my windmill is going to be. That gives me the start of where my windmill is going to be. So now I'm gonna take even a knife, and I want to keep these legs kind of straight. So I'm gonna have a leg coming down here. We're gonna have the base up right there, have a leg over here, and a leg over here for that. Let's get some of our black paint. Let's create those legs. you'd have a post kind of sticking up to there, the top of this windmill. Get some more of that black paint. Now those 3 legs we draw, I showed where they were. We got one leg coming down there. Got another leg coming down over here. And finally a 3rd leg. Let's get the top of that set up. 3rd leg coming down there. Now we need a little bit of bracing so that thing stands up. So that leg here I'm thinking is out to the front. So you got to brace all the way across the back. You might have some, just the illusion of some bracing there to hold that up. Now we need to make some veins for that windmill. Let's go with that little flat brush we had with a little bit of black. Let's get some black, a little bit of white, maybe come up with kind of grayish kind of color. And we'll think about where we got some veins. So we got one, need that a little darker. Got too much white in there. Make them a little narrower. Have one coming out this way, one coming out that way. Get those a little darker. But picking up some of that white kind of gives a metal kind of look to it. So I'm okay, that's picking up some of that white. Another vein come down there, another vein come down there. Now see, one thing I forgot in my little painting here is a little fence going back over that hill. See if I can squeeze that guy in here. Let's start over here. Say we had a fence post there, a fence post here. Kind of get some of that fence in. Keep our cows from getting away. Say we got a fence post here, here. It's kind of just disappearing out over the hill. Kind of give the illusion of that fence there in the background. And while I still have some of this black on here, maybe some wild bird flying around here. We got a little bird here, a little bird there, and maybe one over here. There we go. And now my favorite thing to do in a painting is to sign my name. That shows we got another painting done. So I'm gonna sign my name right over here this time. J.D.W. There, that's Hoosier Homestead. But what I like to see, I always like to see a painting in a frame. I'm going to clean my hands up here. That didn't turn out too bad. Let me touch up one spot there. We got time to touch up a little bit of spot. That one vein, I don't like the way he's looking. We'll give a little more color to him. There, I can live with that a little bit better. Now let's take this over and see if we can put it in a frame. Carefully let that down, and we'll come over here. Okay, here we go. I always like to see a finished painting in a frame. Let's go ahead and drop that down in there. Take my little speed clip. Put on there. Hold that in. Let's set that up. There we go. Hoosier Homestead. I like the way that looks. There we go. So, if you have any questions or would like to know more about classes, feel free to contact me at jdwayne@therockandrollpainter.com. And thank you for watching.